Welcome to Studio 58A, live here at the Jamaica Information Service, our discussion program coming to you live on Facebook. I'm your host, Vaughn Davis. Thank you to everyone watching from wherever you are around the world. Thank you so much for your eyes. We're really glad to have your attention. And like we have your attention, do us a favor, man. Share this video with a friend or two or 10,000 so we can have a very lively discussion. And as you watch, don't forget to drop your questions and your comments in the chat below so we can have a little bit of interactivity going on with the conversation. All right, that's what we like. We like to answer your questions, get you involved in the whole conversation so that we can give you the show that you want. All right. Now, if you're listening out like me, you will already hear the Christmas bells ringing and notice people all over the country gearing up for the most wonderful time of the year. I'm a December person, so I am definitely biased and there's no shame in my game. All right. And those who know say when Christmas time come and it's a come round, customs get busy because all kind of barrel and package start flowing to the country from all about. I kind of figure this is why customs is unveiling their latest initiative at this time, but that is the why. We'll get into that later. The what is the customs contactless clearance process. Let me say that again. The customs contactless clearance process, an initiative by customs to make the process of clearing non-commercial cargo more efficient and, importantly, more comfortable for customers. Here to go into the details about this new initiative is Director of Cargo Imaging at the Jamaica Customs Agency, Mr. Kingsley Henry. Welcome to the program, Mr. Henry. Thank you for being here with us today.
Good afternoon. Nice to be here.
All right, Mr. Henry, let me just start things off by saying, first of all, me not really know nothing much about the whole clearance and customs cargo clearance process. You have to go walk me by the hand in this particular conversation here today. And I don't know if I am like the rest of the population or not, but that's how we're going to work it for the time being. All right. So before we jump into the contactless clearance process, I want to get an idea of how things work now so that now we can understand what the change or what the difference is going to be when you guys institute or in the new process that you have instituted. So how things would have worked under normal circumstances.
So Vaughn, what you saying? Nobody not sending you barrels?
Why? Just one of them things.
We need to fix that if that is the case, right?
Yeah, man, nobody not send me no barrel. I don't know how I go on. I miss that boat, right? No fear. You say all you relatives in foreign, I look for a barrel this Christmas. It need for change. All right.
All right. On the list note, Vaughn needs a barrel, all right?
I need a barrel.
So most important, right? Would be familiar with how to clear things through customs. So as you asked, let me just walk through the basic steps, right? So somebody is sending a barrel. So your auntie hear you appeal for a barrel for this Christmas and decide to pack a barrel and send it to you to Jamaica. So she's going to pack it. She's going to look in the directory, Google it, or find out from somebody which shipping company, let's say she's sending out to Miami, is close to me and that ships to Jamaica. So she find a shipping agent that does that. Mm-hmm. And the shipping agent may come to our house, and pick up the barrel, or she may take the barrel to the shipping company warehouse and drops it off. Mm-hmm. So what the shipping company end up doing after that is one barrel plus as many other shipments that can hold in a container.
Right.
They pack it in a container and they ship it to Jamaica. When it comes to Jamaica, customs have to know what is in the container, don't it?
Absolutely.
So how customs know what is in the container is that the shipping agents submit what we call a manifest. So a manifest is just a listing of all the shipments. So to tell you, Vaughn Davis, one barrel, said to contain groceries and similar for every other person who has stuff in that container. Right? So that is submitted to customs. A few years ago, it was a paper process. Now it's all electronic. So that information is submitted to what we call a port community system that the terminal operators and the warehouse operators and customs have access to. And then the interface between the port community system and the ASICUDA world system that customs use to process our transactions, that information is filtered in. So manifesting in the system, right? So once it manifests in the system, the container is still on the vessel from Miami to Jamaica, But
so them send the manifest ahead of the arrival of
right. So once the container is packed and it's placed on board the vessel, the manifest can be sent, right? Can be uploaded. So the ship is still coming from Miami. And the agent is very efficient. So the agent decided, I want to submit my manifest. So they have submitted their manifest. And once the manifest is submitted, what they can do is that they can start doing additional paperwork. But how it works now? So container coming to Jamaica, container come to the port, they make arrangement to say, all right, it's going to be checked at my warehouse, Kingsley's warehouse, right? Mm-hmm. They do the paperwork, the container is transported to Kingsley warehouse, and all the stuff is taken out of the container. So we take out the stuff one by one, we check them off to ensure that one shipment and the other 99 is there. Then we scan everything that comes out of that container. And then we put them in the warehouse, and your agent will call you and say, Mr. Davis, your container can be picked up from the warehouse. So you can go the next day or 3 days or 4 days down the line. There's a time period, usually I think about 7 days if I'm not incorrect, after which you're going to have to pay some additional money for storage. All right. So your agent call you. Guess what you do then, man? You go to your agent at whatever North Street, 13 North Street where your agent is. You go into your agent and you have to provide the agent with some information. You have to tell them when at the barrel. So is it groceries and clothing, or is it just groceries? So you tell them say it's groceries. They have to go onto the customs system and prepare what we call a declaration. So the declaration says it is coming from Auntie Davis, Don Davis, and coming to Vaughn Davis, and some other information about which ship and which container and what is in it. And your agent prepare that and send it to customs electronically. But you have to pay the agent their money. Long process though. You have to pay the agent their money, and they give you your bill of lading and stamp it and say to the warehouse. It says there's stamp on it that says to the warehouse and to customs that you have met your financial obligation to them, so the cargo can be released to you. You travel from North Street, you go down at the port, at the warehouse. You join a line, and you go pay the warehouse operator their fees, and they get their fees, and then they, all right, fees are paid, and say, go to customs, pay customs their money. And once you pay customs their money, the warehouse go and find your barrel, bring your barrel to an inspection area, and then call you and say, come into the inspection area and stand up by your shipment. Don't open your shipment till customs come. So the customs officer comes out of the office onto the floor and say, Mr. Davis, open that barrel for me. Give me your paperwork, open the barrel. Take out as much stuff as you need to take out so I can see the bottom of the barrel. And I'll be back with you in a while. And then move on to the next person and the next person and the next person and give the similar instruction. Officer returns to you and look what was on the documentation. So you say groceries, etc., etc. They check it and they say, okay, yeah, man, it's grocery. And right now it's $6,500 to clear a barrel with groceries, right? And you have another $2,500 in fees to pay, and you paid that already. So the officer check and say, okay, I agree. What you declare is what is there. All right, let me go to the office and generate a release. So they generate a release, a paper that says that goods have been inspected and customs has no interest anymore. It is okay for the warehouse operator to give you the goods. You take that and you go to the warehouse. Warehouse give you a printed piece of paper called a gate pass, and that allows the security to allow you to leave the port with the goods. That's like 100. That's like 100 steps, don't it?
I never want to say it, but it sounds really long and drawn out.
It sounds long and drawn out, but guess what the longest part of that is? The longest part of that usually is the customs inspection.
When you bring out the goods and
when you have to wait for the customs, for the goods to be brought to customs, and wait for a customs officer to come and do the inspection, because the officer has so many people dealing within the space. And that process, going into the busy season, there are facilities, there are warehouses where you can arrive there in the morning at 4 o'clock, and you're not leaving there until dark again at 8 o'clock, and that is a reality.
Yeah,
so
that is.
There are people who probably are listening to you who can tell you, say,
I'm very glad that you said that, because we are getting a lot of loving reproaches online. I call them loving reproach.
we used to the love, you know, and I mean, we love our customers, and so we understand the love.
I mean, let me just quickly show some love to people online. Evan Virtue saying, listening from Jamaica. Nicholas Dobson, boy, Nicholas, boy, Mr. Henry, Nicholas. Nicholas is very upset with you guys. Let's put it that way.
Well, I'm sorry that Nicholas is upset with us, but what we said to people, look here, It's a relationship, you know. So if you vex with it, just tell us why you vex with it, right? And
So
we see if we can, and we see if we can work it out. Yeah.
Nicholas, continue sharing your thoughts. That's why we have the show. That's why Mr. Henry is here. We can have
man, we're not running from it.
Dialogue going on and all of that. Alison Lindsay just jumped in and said, trust me, it can be few hours or an entire day. Lord God.
That's true.
So, you hear the people talking to you already. All right. So as you just mentioned, the biggest issue, as you say, is when them finally do all of these things, back end things, get to the port, customs official has to come, examine the thing, then provide you with say, all right, the document is okay, customs has no interest, you pay fees, etc., etc. All right. So I can imagine now that this new contactless clearance process is supposed to make it more efficient for the people, right?
Definitely, right? I went to a warehouse this week, right, to look at the preparation for contactless clearance and to look how some other things are working. And trust me, the heat alone in the space.
Yeah. Okay.
I felt like I worked on on top of a roof in the blazing sun. That's how I felt, having been in the space for a little bit, right? And that is what our customer have to deal with in a lot of facilities. And we're saying with this new process, right? Let me tell you it works. So in essence, what Jamaica Customs will be doing is doing the inspection without requiring the importer. The importer don't have to come to the warehouse for the inspection, or the agent that represent the importer don't have to come to the warehouse for the inspection. Okay. Customs will do the inspection and release the cargo, and all you have to do is come and collect the cargo, right?
Probably make some pay fees or whatever.
So everything that I described about the fee payment remain the same, right? So the thing is shipped from Miami, the agent submit the manifest, and this time the agent does the declaration. Guess what? The agent don't have to wait for you to come physically in office for them to submit the declaration. They can get information from you via telephone, or they can get it via packing list, but you talk to them and let them know what is in the shipment, and they can submit the declaration for you, and they can tell you what your assessment is, how much money you must pay customs before the container get to the warehouse and is offloaded. And then all you have to do is work out between you and the agent how you pay their fee and how you pay customs fee. So right now, what we're trying the system with what we call personal shipment. So we're not touching commercial yet. Next year we'll look at that. We are dealing with personal shipments, less than container load, under $5,000 US. That's what we're looking at now. So when your agent submit and make the pay and tell you, all right, Vaughn, $6,500 or $9,000, you can pay through your agent. What Customs is working on now is an application, a mobile application that we should launch by the middle of November. That would allow you to register your debit or your credit card and pay customs directly based on the assessment without having to come into a customs location. So think about it. You pay the money to customs, you pay the money to the agent, there's communication between the agent and the warehouse and customs. Container is stripped, container is scanned. As soon as the container is scanned, if your shipment has been paid for already, customs does the inspection. We tell the warehouse, bring the goods, let's customs inspect it. And we say to the warehouse, all right, provide one of your workers who you have done background checks on, that you have done proper security vetting on. Give us one of those workers, let them stand beside the customs officer. If the customs officer want the lid come off of that, then you take it off. If the customs officer want the box move from there to there for inspection purposes, then you do that. Customs does the inspection and release the cargo. And your agent informs you that, guess what, the cargo has been released and you can come and get it. So you don't have to wait days for this, So this process works as efficiently as your agent work and as quickly as you are able to make payment. So this the days of standing around and sitting and drawing from chair to chair, and you beg a time from work, you beg one 3 hours, tell the boss, say, can I get permission to come in late this morning? Tell the boss, say you're going to go off. But when you're going to go off, you realize that after 3 hours, your car going to come on the floor yet. And when you come on the floor after 3 hours, for 4 hours when it's on the floor now, and you realize that, boy, I'm still not at the end of the process yet, because we still have to wait for inspection. After inspection, you realize you have to join a line because there are 20 other people ahead of you waiting on a release, right? And then after you get the release, you realize there's 25 people in the line waiting to get a gate pass. And so you end up spending 6 hours, but you ask your boss for 3 hours. That is the reality on the ground. And so we are saying there's a better way in 2022 for people to clear goods without having to go through all of that. And that's a first world standard, right? That is what we believe that will work and transform how you interact with customs.
Well, Mr. Henry Meza, I'm going to be a skeptical because I'm sure I speak for all Jamaican people. We skeptical when we hear when do these things. So how me so sure say you are going to actually do this thing according to the standards that you set. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously, they're going to be teething phase when they introduce a new system. That's just the way life works. That's just facts. But separate and apart from that, the idea that I only just wait till I get a phone call that say, boy, Mr. Davis, your package ready, just come collect and leave. So, it begs the question, well, 2 questions, I guess. How are you so sure that you'll be able to deliver the service at the standard that you say you are? And what kind of timelines are we realistically looking at? If I get the phone call that my goods are ready, my package is ready, whatever the case, barrel, whatever the case, how long should I realistically spend when I get down to customs to collect my thing and leave?
All right, so you ask 2 questions. So let me do the one part first, right? You see, we're already in an environment, so you may not get a barrel, but you may buy stuff on Amazon, don't it? Or some other website you buy. Because that's a part of the trade that is huge now. Many Jamaicans are buying things, and you buy one shoes and you buy one item, then you buy that. And some people understand if it's under $50 CIF, then I'd have to pay no duty on it, and people capitalize on that, right? And all you do, is that your agent call you, who you ship with, and tell you come to my office at North Street, come pick it up. You don't see the customs inspection. Sometimes you will interact with customs where the agent tells the customs hold on it because customs don't believe that invoice that you sent is the correct invoice. But most of those persons have absolutely no interaction with customs, right? There's another area. There's another thing that other people don't know, the post office. A lot of people ship things to the post office, right? Lots of people do that. But how many people know that customs work in the main post office in Jamaica? And that anything that you ship must go through customs. Mail and parcel and anything else, customs must inspect it. But you're not seeing the customs officer doing the inspection. You might get a note in the post office says that you have customs duties to pay, and you pay through the post office. So the concept is not a new concept, but it's a concept that we're expanding. How do we ensure that the process works how we want it to work? That's what we're piloting, right? So we're piloting this month in October. We started the pilot on October 10 for a number of warehouses in Kingston. So we're doing Total Logistics Facility. We're doing Kingport Warehouse Complex, which are the warehouses operated by Kingston Wharves Limited. We're doing Adolph Levy and Brother. We're doing Kingston Logistics Center in Kingston. Those started this week. And we started with selected agents, right? Not every agent. And for the agents who are selected, not every shipment will be cleared under contactless. And then on the 18th, which is next week, Tuesday, we will bring on board Universal Freight Handlers in Kingston, Seaboard Warehouse in Montego Bay, and Port Handlers Warehouse also in Montego Bay with select agents. But we're taking it a little bit further to test what you're talking about, to ensure that the system is delivering how we want it to deliver, don't it? So we are saying next week, Tuesday, all door-to-door shipments. So all the agents who do door-to-door, which means that you have to send the barrel to you, but all the charges are paid for it to be delivered at your door, right? That service exists. Agents provide that service as a paid service. And we're saying for all of those services, the agents don't need to be there for inspection. Custom will be doing the inspection minus the agents, all right? We are working with the warehouse operators. We have said to them, these are the guidelines. So you need to put in security requirements. This is how we communicate. So for example, a lot of the communication is now electronic, right? We have said there needs to be priority. So something that is contactless clearance, if your declaration is done as contactless clearance, as soon as it is scanned, the container is stripped and it is scanned, customs is aware of that declaration. So the customs management team working at the location can go onto the customs system and they will see all the declarations that are paid under contactless clearance. They send the notification to the warehouse operator, say, bring those shipments to us so we can do the inspection. And one of the things that we have said to the warehouse operator, it can't take longer than it takes now. There must be some real significant gains and benefits that people see, the customers see in terms of the time. And so what we're doing, we're testing it now in the pilot, and to see what we need to tighten up, to see where we're moving paper and we can eliminate that, to see which processes that we don't need to do, but at the same time, do everything to ensure that the customers can have full confidence while we are handling their goods and we are inspecting their goods, and so that they can be totally pleased with the outcome of this new initiative. That's what we work on.
No, all right, I say that me here. What you saying on me here? I don't think that we're explaining to me here.
The proof of the cake is really eating.
Yeah, so what kind of? So I guess
the
the next question, as I say, is terms of timelines, because I would like to know that the only way I can gauge it as a customer to see if this thing is really working, like you say it is if I come there and spend a considerably, shorter period of time than I would normally. I mean, granted, the average time is a whole day, so that, improvement is great. But at the same time, you must be able to guarantee the customer, even if it's, a working thing or something that will be preliminary or just, tentative. What kind of idea of how long? Because if I just get a thing to say, come now, I come and I spend maybe the most an hour, for argument's sake, 2 hours, and then I'm good. You know what I mean? That's kind of that's what I'm driving at, Mr. Henry.
So, right. So based on the volumes now, in terms of the pilot, for those who are on the pilot, once your goods has been inspected and released and your agent calls you, when you get to a warehouse to collect, it should not take you an hour to get your goods. Right.
All right. So the big long line, the big long line, then we will pass out.
Because guess what? Because guess what? You're not going to join the long line that everybody else is in,
Okay.
So what has been created is a fast lane for those who are using contactless clearance in the pilot. And guess what? If the pilot is very successful, one of the things that we want to do is leverage it throughout the busiest season of the year. Exactly. So I'm just coming from Port Angeles warehouse, coming to this interview. Port Angeles warehouse is in Montego Bay, right? For those who are in the West, that is familiar with that facility. And I have looked at the work that they have put in terms of the infrastructure for contactless clearance. So we have asked them, for example, to create a separate area for the inspection of those goods, away from the main inspection area where you have people still moving through. Create a separate area for the storage of those goods after we have inspected them and released them, and they're waiting for you to come and pick it up. We have said to them that area must be controlled. CCTV must be the best that you have there. And I just looked at their setup and I said, you have invested a lot in making these changes for a 4-week pilot. Wouldn't it be awesome if after the 4-week we see such success that we can say to our customers, call your agent if you ship something on the holiday and request contactless clearance. That is what we are hoping that we'll be able to do, But we will let our customers know at the end of the pilot if we are able to extend it through the holiday period, and so it can be maybe optional for people who want to make use of that and who don't want to come on the port and sit for an entire day in the busiest season of the year.
Yeah. I figure that's why you would do it. You want to stress test it naturally, and this is the best time to do that. So you can have an idea of just how effective it will be, which makes sense. Well, if I sense I can see the moves that are made, I see the chess moves working, and hopefully
try.
There's a quick question online, and I want to segue to it from Lorraine Walker. Thank you, Lorraine, for the question. Really appreciate that. She quick question in terms of, is there you said you're doing it primarily for what was it, non-commercial cargo?
Yeah, personal cargo.
Is there a amount? Because what would be the distinction between commercial and non-commercial? So a person can have an idea of how much them can try push through under the contactless process.
Yeah, man. So I can explain that, right? So there are different categorization for cargo. So commercial cargo can be of any value, right? And by value, we mean cost, insurance, and trade value, CI. How much you pay for it, how much you pay to ship it, and what is the insurance that you actually pay or the calculated insurance. So CI, right? So CI value can be $100 and something is commercial because you have a registered business and you're using it in the business. So commercial is not just talking about things that people are going to resell. So a lot of times the customers come and say, well, this is not commercial, I'm not going to sell it. But it's a piece of equipment that you're going to be using in your business. You understand what I'm saying? Or some supplies for business. So that is commercial. Commercial is also the things that people are buying to resell. So whether you're a registered business or not, you go to Victoria's Secret and you buy a whole barrel of Bath and Body Works and you come accustomed, and custom is going to say it's commercial because the quantity is such that we believe that you are going to be reselling it to, you're going to set up your little thing and you're going to sell it, or you have a little store or something, but you may not be registered and you're going to sell it. So that is commercial, right? So what the rule says is that commercial goods are goods over $5,000, not just commercial. Anything over $5,000 US CIF that you must, for example, get a custom broker to clear that on your behalf. Anything below that technically don't require a custom broker. But the system don't really set up for the individual to access the system for submitting declarations. We're not there yet. Sometime in the future, we'll get there. So personal shipments would be your everyday shipment that is not for business, right? So your barrel that you're selling for your household, anything for your household or your own personal use outside of business is what we call personal shipments. And then you have the last classification I want to explain is full container load. So one ship a container load of tiles into Jamaica or mixed commodity, and it is for you. You're the only consignee, you're the only person, you're the only importer. That's a full container load shipment. And then we have what is called a consolidated shipment, which is what we're talking about. So in that shipment, you have something for one plus 50 other people.
Right. Yeah.
So those are the shipments, and all of those shipments go to a warehouse, one of the warehouses that I would have named, and the cargo is taken out and the cargo is stored in the warehouse until clearance. So those are what we're talking about, the non-commercial personal cargo that people clear through customs. That is what we're dealing with now.
All right, so let me take this question from Lorraine Walker. She's asking, can Mr. Henry tell us what is going on with packages being stuck with some local shipping companies for months? Customs is being blamed for the backlog. So I suspect persons are hearing from the agents or whoever that, boy, backlog of customs, that's why I can't get it.
It's customs fault, right?
So explain to me what's going on.
It's customs. We're used to the refrain that it's customs fault. Yesterday I was talking to a brethren, and the brethren asked me the same question. He called me and said, Kingsley, where go on? I shipped some car parts arriving in Jamaica from September, early September, and my agent tell me customs, why we can't get it. So the first thing I'll say to our listener is, not all the times when the agent says customs, it's customs fault, right? And so one of the things that I encourage important. So when they say it's customs fault, ask them, has the declaration, have you submitted a declaration to customs? Has the container arrived in Jamaica? Because if the container arrived in Jamaica and you say that it is taking you 2 or 3 weeks for your container to be cleared and stripped offloaded at the warehouse, then we can have some discussion about whether it is a measure that customs has implemented that is causing that. So the first thing you have to find out is, where is your cargo? Is it in Jamaica? Is it at the port? Is it in the warehouse? So over the last few weeks, yes, customs would have implemented some changes, and these changes are important in our border protection effort and the mandate that we have to ensure that the cargo that we are interacting with is free from contraband. And so one of the things that we have been doing is reinforcing the national policy related to the scanning of cargo, and that is 100% scan. But that would have only been reinforced over the last 2 or 3 weeks. So any delays that anybody experienced before that, they can't blame customs, right? And that is what we are doing now. But as we get into the busy season, we are transitioning and we are making some modification to the approaches to how we deal with the cargo and to apply, for example, the full capabilities of our risk management systems at customs. So outside of the normal slowdown that you will have and increasing cargo over the Christmas holidays, you shouldn't see any problems and delay resulting from any processes that customs would have been implementing. So when the agent tell you say customs, quiz them a little bit more than that, right? Even when they tell you say customs charge you some money, quiz them something more than that. Customs had an ad going on the radio, say ask for your C number. And I think we are working on, there's supposed to be a tracking capability that we have on our website. I can't verify now whether it works or not, or there are some changes that has been made to it. But with the mobile application, one of the things that customers will be able to do with the mobile app as well is to track their declaration through the system. So you're able to see if your agent submit the declaration, you're able to see when the declaration has been paid for, you're able to see when inspection is completed and the goods is released. Right. All
right.
So
hopefully,
yes.
All right. Hopefully, Lauren, that answers the question. If there's a follow-up, anything else you want to add, drop it in the comments, and Mr. Henry's here. Let's try and get the answers for you. All right. Well, I'm saying I'm gonna read you one of the loving reproach them, and
No man,
but it's very important. I just say because
we're family, so we have to hear the
right.
kind words.
I say it
and
because
the
this is the kind of thing that people say,
yes,
and so the question people question why they must send barrel and why they must think because it costs so much money. But anyway, let me just read it and then you can take it and you answer all of that. All right. So say I'm Nadine Jackson. All right, Nadine. I'm not sending anything more to Jamaica unless it's a barrel. I send 3 small boxes, none exceed the weight of 16 pounds. School supplies for my daughter. I spent $150 to purchase everything and they charged me 45,000 JMD to receive it. Never again. So I suspect the challenge is obviously the expense to clear things, obviously the expense involved in all of these things. Many people just feel like, why this expensive? So I guess the question maybe is why it's so expensive and, why I must continue using the service if it's so expensive.
So let me break it down, right? So you're taking advantage of the fact that me there, I'm from customs, so I know the contactless we're talking about generally some other things that concern people, and that's fine, right? So you ship a customer who is shipping like Nadine, that's what you said?
Nadine Jackson.
All right, Nadine. So Nadine would have been sending the school supplies of $150. Anybody else that is sending anything, one of the things that we say is important. If you have the invoices that indicate what you pay for it, it is important for us to get that, because in the absence of an invoice, guess what customs is going to do? We're going to use our valuation process, and we have a number of steps that we look at, right? We look at valuation in terms of identical or similar items, right? We look at other methods that we use along the line. So we have about 5 methods that we use of valuation. And so we have to value the item if you don't provide us proof that is $150 that you send. So that is the first thing. But it's also important that our customer understand how duties are calculated. And what I'll say to you, you can go on the customs website under the tab that says trade, and we have what is called the tariff. So the tariff, to put it in a layman term, is a book. I mean, it should be a physical book. Now we have it online, digitized. Right? It has almost every single commodity type that is traded, not just in Jamaica, globally, right? And there's a code that is assigned to it, and beside that code you will see what the import duty is. You will see if there's GCT on it. You will see if there is stamp duties or any other taxes that is applied to it. So everything that comes into Jamaica, there's taxes, and we have to learn how the taxes are calculated. Taxes are calculated, custom duties are calculated based on the cost, insurance, and freight value. So you pay $150 for the thing, right? But how much did it charge to come to Jamaica? The agent that you ship it with may have charge you $100 or more. So when you come to customs is going to not just look at 150. Customs is going to look at 150 plus 100, right? Plus there's a mathematical calculation that we use at 1% or 1.5%, depending if you're at the airport or otherwise. And based on that, we use that as an insurance to get what we call the CIF value on which duty is calculated, right? So that is how it works. And people have to understand that. So it's not that's what you pay for it. But guess what? If you feel that customs has overvalued an item and is overcharging you, we have a process, And we say to you, we say to our customer, if you accept it, say your agent tell you, say, you have to pay this, and you say, no, sir, but I know that me pay for it. Or the customer officer say, to pay this, and you say, no, but that's not what I paid for it. You still have means to object and to provide the objective proof that this is what I paid for it. And if customer looks at your invoices and say, all right, we'll accept them. If they're good invoices, then the process works. But you have to provide us with as much information as is necessary for us to make the decision. Our objective is not to collect more than is due to us. We place a lot of emphasis on fair duty assessments, right? That's all we want to do, for it to be fair.
All right, Nadine, I hope that answer me back, talk back to me, Nadine. That's why we're here. If you have anything else you want to add, anything else you want to follow up with, like we said. Mr. Andrew mentioned there's a I guess what you call maybe an appeal or a complaints process that you can follow.
Of course.
And one thing I always have to mention also is that the customs, not that I'm caping for customs, but I've asked this question and the answer has been proffered that a lot of these tariffs are guided by legislation. So it's not, for example, like they make it up on the spot and decide to charge you based
We're not,
on
it's not arbitrary, right? It's
some
not
arbitrary
Yeah,
situation. They're
yeah.
guided by laws and so on. And so it might be that we have to lobby for changes and that kind at that level, and then we can change things, right?
But let me get an example, right? So up to a few years ago, when you travel, there was $100 duty-free allowance on personal items that you may be taking with you, right? $100. Up to a few years ago, the only persons that qualify for that $100, it used to be like twice a year that you qualify for that $100. So if you're a frequent traveler, only 2 times a year, you can benefit from that allowance. And you can only benefit from that allowance if you are a Jamaican, right? Guess what? The government changed the policy. So now the allowance is $500. And if you travel 10 times for the year, you are entitled to the $500 duty-free allowance on your personal items for the 10 times that you travel. If you're an American, you're coming to Jamaica, you're still entitled. Once you're traveling into Jamaica, you're entitled to that allowance. That is a policy change. People still think that $500 is still too look a bit. But if it's still too look a bit, then guess what? We have an avenue, we are the enforcers of the policy. And so it is up to the importers, up to the Jamaican people to lobby our leaders to say that, minister, $500 look a bit. You can move it up to $1,000. And if the government decided tomorrow to move it up to $1,000, guess what? You come tomorrow morning, customs officer will be applying
implementing it.
That is how it works. So when the duty rates go down, we don't have no objection. We're not out there crying and saying, no, minister, don't reduce it. Because we're going to be collecting less. No, we're not saying that. So if the minister said tomorrow, say, look here, no duty upon nothing coming into Jamaica, then we would say, fine. But one of the things that we want to encourage, I'm not a politician, but you see the taxes that are collected and at customs, it contributes to national development. So you see all of these nice highways and stuff that are building across Jamaica, it has to be paid for. How is it paid for? Paid for the revenue that comes largely from these taxes that are collected at customs and other taxes that are collected in Jamaica. And so we might drive on the road, might have pothole, I experience it too. But there are some things that we can see happening around that we can say, our tax dollar is going towards that. Paying the teachers, paying the doctors, paying the nurses. A country cannot operate like Jamaica without tax revenue. Because we don't have oil. At least we're not really sure how much oil we have out there, if it's commercially viable. Our goal is commercially viable, right? We have bauxite and that's it, and tourism. But tax revenue is important.
All right, I'm going to do a quick switch for a second and just to keep things on track in our ways, and then we'll come back to some of the other things. So a quick question from Nadine, as we come back to your question. There's a question from Marcia Bravo. You asked me a question, Marcia, but I don't think I understand exactly what you're asking me. So retype it and I can ask Mr. Henry, all right? Just stay tuned, retype it, and then we get back to you in a second. All right, just to get back to the subject of the contactless clearance process for one thing. For the customers, for the agents, for the people, I would imagine the question they're asking is this new process going to cost us more? Is it going to be more expensive? It's all well and good to have this new process, but is it going to cost us more? Is it going to have this kind of individualized or almost personalized service at customs before we get there and all these things happen? Is it going to cost us more in the long run?
So what I say to you, right? There's no additional custom costs. At least from the custom side, there's no additional charge, right? What we have said to the operators at the warehouse who were important to this process is, at least during the pilot, no contemplation of any additional charge. When we get to full implementation, we have said to them that there must be serious consideration in a free market economy whether an operator is going to have an additional charge. Because I'll give you an example. To submit the declaration to customs now, to prepare the declaration, there are agents who charge and there are agents who don't charge. And so what will be critical is for importers to know that they have the ability to shop around. And because of that free market, we believe that will help the operators and agents who might be tempted to put on any charge that might be prohibitive from doing so, right? So one of the things I said to you, if you normally come and you spend 6 hours on your working hours, your productive time on the port, waiting to clear your goods. If an operator is supposed to put on a minimal charge, let's say, I'm not putting ideas into the blade, of a $500 or $1,000 on top of something, and then you have a situation where you are dealing with now thousands of contactless clearance, they can more than make up for any additional costs that may come about to their operations as a result of that. So we don't believe that there's any justification for any significant increases in charges, if any at all. But as we're saying, it's a free market and we can regulate that. But what we can say to importers is that, look here, always shop around, explore your option, because not everybody has the same charges and not everybody charges for the same things.
No, okay, but you are not necessarily going to be putting on any charges for
no. Custom charges won't increase. Right?
Right.
There's already a fee that customs collect for processing and inspecting cargo, and that remains the same. So that fee is largely dependent on the cargo type, and so that won't change, right? So there's no additional charges coming. So customs is not saying that we're doing contactless, so you need to pay us to do contactless. No, man, we're doing this for our importers, and very importantly, we're also doing it for our officers, because we believe that we must create a working environment where they can do the inspection as a part of border protection, and they can do the inspection as a part of the assessment for revenue collection, and through it, creating an easier process, just also contributing to our trade facilitation mandate. That is what we're trying to accomplish.
Now, Nadine asked a question which kind of dovetails with another question I wanted to ask, which is, she asked, she actually said, my goods were damaged. How do I get compensated for my damaged goods? Which does bring back the question of, if a person brings something in and they feel like it's been damaged or something like that, what's the recourse from there?
That's a great question, because one of the concerns that stakeholders, and by stakeholders I mean freight forwarders, warehouse operators, importers have been asking. So how do we deal with damage? Right. Under contactless clearance, right. If I'm not there, how do you deal with a damage situation? So one of the things that we say, some of the security requirements that we have outlined for the warehouse operator, like I was saying, I was at Port Angeles and the CCTV is immaculate. We have said that your CCTV should be able to track the goods from it's being offloaded from the container into the warehouse and until it is released to you or to your agent, right? The warehouses have a process where there are obvious damages and they will note those. What we have also said is that when customs is doing the inspection, so let's say we're doing the inspection and we open your 70-inch TV box and we realize that we realize that the screen is cracked. Then what we have said to our customs officer, on the electronic document that we use for processing the declaration, when they're writing their inspection report, that they would include that in the inspection report. The warehouse will also make a note of that damage. How the claim process works is that when your goods is damaged or something is missing, you report it to your agent, and your agent will make a report to the warehouse, and then an investigation will be done to ensure and to verify whether the damage or the missing item happen within the warehouse facility. Because the reality is that sometimes things go missing and they go missing before they get to Jamaica, right? That is just a truth, right? But an investigation, anybody make a claim by anybody, nobody's going to say, all right, I'm going to just automatically honor your claim because you said something is missing. There has to be an investigation, and then we have to verify that. But the security requirements that we have put in place and what we have asked our officers to do, then it will contribute to saying that we did see the damage at the point of inspection. If we open a barrel and the barrel is half, right, at inspection, what we say to our officer, make a note of that in your inspection. And if the anomaly that you're seeing is so glaring, as a matter of fact, if you want to pause the inspection and put what we call the declaration to query, so it's like you're putting a pause on the customs declaration, which is a notation and a message to the agent who submit the declaration to say, all right, we need to see you, because we need you to realize that the barrel is half empty. You understand what I'm saying? So there are processes in place to ensure that if we know the damages during inspection, that there's a record of it. And so our customers can be rest assured. And we're not telling them that it will make the claims process any easier. Because any claim process, as you know,
obviously,
whether insurance or anybody, whether insurance or anybody, when you're claiming for money because of damages, nobody not going to say to you, I go and pay you the money because you claim it. So I'm not going to promise them that the claims process, which is out of our hand, is going to be any easier. But what we're saying is that we do our part to ensure that we make notes where damages are observed.
And Nadine asked another very good question, which is, she asked, what can I ask the agent for to prove that whatever they're charging me is in correspondence with custom, essentially. So when them give you the final bill to say, all right, this is what you pay for everything because we worked with customs to do this, that. How do we know that, boy, them
the
now
assessment,
go over that,
Vaughn is called an assessment notice, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that assessment notice will break down the custom charges, right?
So you can ask for the assessment notice.
You can ask them for the assessment notice. And one of the things I want to say, right? Agents have their charges, right?
No, I understand that,
right.
But,
so the process, right? So the process, so the service that they provide is not free, but it's important for you to know what the duties that you're paying to customs,
right?
Different from what you're paying to the agent, right?
Right.
And so they can provide you that assessment notice, right? It's on the declaration. They can provide it to you, and you can see, okay, I am paying $5,000 for custom duties. I'm paying $1,500 for the general consumption tax. I am paying $1,500 or $2,500 for the customs administrative fee. You will see a breakdown of your charges. You are entitled to that. You are entitled, it's an entitlement that you have. And so, as I said, we have been running the ad to say to people, ask for your C number. And the C number is a unit number for the declaration. And you can use that C number to track your declaration. Or if you have a query at customs and you call customs and you want to know, I want to verify whether what my agent told me about what I have to pay is such, or my agent says that I submitted the declaration 2 weeks ago, but customs has held on to it. That C number will allow customs to go onto the system and to check the status of your declaration if you have a query.
All right, and the last question I'll take before I kind of bring things full circle, just to recap what we're talking about in terms of the customs clearance process. Nadine had another question, which is, say at the wharf to clear my barrel. Well, she's saying, I suspect it means at the wharf to clear my barrel, and the customs officer saw 6 body spray. I personally bought them for my family, but they decided to do a $1,000 charge for each one separately from the money that I already paid to declare my goods. Who can I speak to at that moment? So I suspect if you have a query, I suspect if you have a query.
So the first point of objection and first point of query is always a supervisor at the location. Mm-hmm. And what we normally say to our customers is a chain of command, So the officer now listen to you, and you think that the officer is not being fair, I've not listened to all of what you have put on the table, then ask to speak to a supervisor. There's always a supervisor, more than one supervisor present. If it is by chance you still don't get the redress that you think you need to get, then you can speak to the manager at the location, right? And there's also a formal, let's say you're somebody, what you're bringing is a whole heap of money and you're dissatisfied with the duty and you think that you need to go to a formal appeals process, there's a revenue appeals process that is outlined on the customs website that you can also follow. But for when there are major concerns that you have as an importer, but it is happening right there when you're there clearing your shipment, escalate it. Ask to speak to the supervisor, and if you don't get any redress, request to speak to the manager at the location. If the matter can't be resolved from there, then you can refer to the formal appeals process.
All right, so Mr. Henry, repetition is the key to learning. All right, so we're going to just bring things right back to the start. All right, just go through with people the contactless clearance process, what this is going to entail, and what can person expect from this procedure as they try to utilize it to clear their stuff, and it's supposed to be more efficient, etc., etc., etc. Just give them a quick rundown.
So it starts with you preparing your shipment, packing your barrel, packing your box, whatever it is overseas to send to Jamaica. What we're saying when you're packing, make a note of what you're putting in there, right? We're working on making a packing list available on our website that you can use, or you can use your own generic packing list. And if you don't think that you need a packing list because you're so accurate with your description, when you're speaking to the agent or you're emailing the agent, that's fine. So pack it up, take it to the agent, provide the agent with a full description of the items, provide them with all the invoices that you may have and any other supporting document. If it's a permit that is required, make sure you have that permit and you provide it to the agent. Agent pack the container, ship the container to Jamaica, upload the manifest to the system. Once the manifest is uploaded, they can start submitting their declaration and informing you of the assessment. And then you can make arrangements to pay for the custom duties and the agent charges. By the time we get to full implementation in April 1, we will have a mobile application that you can use to go on and pay customs duties directly. Duties pay, container get to warehouse, container is stripped. One of the things that we're saying to agents, there's some misunderstanding. We're not saying that the duties of the goods in the container must be paid before the container is stripped. What we are saying is that once the manifest is in the system, you can do the declaration and you can pay it. But you have nothing to do with the stripping, right? So the container arrives at the warehouse stripped, goods scan, custom will schedule the inspection, inspect the cargo, and the system will communicate via the system that the cargo has been released. The agent who submit the declaration will get that notification, and the warehouse operator will get that notification. You turn up at the warehouse with your information and your ID, and you can get your cargo. Or if the agent is collecting on your behalf, the agent turns up with the necessary documentation and information and can get the cargo. So you know no longer a need when we fully implement this process for you to be present for customs inspection. And as we did say before, we are piloting now in October, but full implementation date is supposed to be April 1, 2023 for less than container load, non-commercial, or in other words, personal shipment. So we're not dealing with commercial shipment in this first phase of the project. When we get to April 1, then we start having some conversation. We have the conversation before then about how we approach the process for commercial shipments, less than container load commercial shipments.
I hope it really works out. I really do. So if I want to make sure that I work with an agent who is aware of this, or maybe part of the pilot, can I do that? Is there a place I can find out who the different agents are who are under the pilot?
Yes, so visit the customs website under the trade tab. So you click on the trade tab, there will be a drop down and there's a contactless clearance, and there's a list of participating agents there. And you can communicate to those agents if your shipment is arriving this week and over the next 4 weeks. You can indicate to them that you would like your shipment to be cleared on the contactless clearance process, right? If the container is already in Jamaica, and for one of your participating agents, and you have not visited them and you have not made any payment, any goods have not been cleared, you can still request that your goods be cleared using contactless clearance. And we're saying to people, reach out to your agents, right? Let them know that this is something that you want to be a part of. And as we said, based on the success, when we go reach into after the 4 weeks, our ideal situation would be to continue it throughout the Christmas season on a limited basis for customers who wants to be a part of it.
All right. Quick question from Paulette Allen, just jumping on at the end here. She's saying, and will the credit card info be kept safe? So I suspect that means when you start doing these interaction, the digital payments and so on and so on, customs are gonna make sure so all our money, our information protected and them kind of things, right?
And me understand that. I appreciate the question, right? Because I shop online and I'm very picky about when we do online with my credit card and stuff, because security is key, right? Exactly. And so the security requirements that we are building out around the app is as best as it can get, right? As best as it can get. We now say, there are some bright minds out there. Yeah,
exactly.
But it is the encryption and everything else surrounding it is as best as it can be, all right? And so we say, in terms of the system, yes, it will be secure, and your bank will tell you all the while all the other things that you need to do to ensure security of your credit card. For example, ensuring that you're getting notification via text messaging and other things from your bank when your cards are used, so that you can get in touch with them if you see something come up and that payment was not made or authorized by you. If you're not doing that with your bank, I'm doing a plug for the bank, generally for security. That is one of the most important features for you to have those notifications when your debit card or your credit card is used.
All right, people, jump on jacustoms.com, jacustoms.gov.jm, not .com, .gov.jm. That's jacustoms.gov.jm. Check out the contactless clearance process. Find out if this might be worthwhile for you. Check out and see which one of the agents, which one of the different organizations out there are working on being a part of the pilot. And as Mr. Henry said, if it works out good, which I hope it will, I think it should. Should make a difference. Everybody wants something that will make the process easier. You know what I mean? And if it works out, they might extend it through the Christmas, which definitely everybody would want that. You'd welcome that because that is when the money is spent and things are coming left, right, and center. All right. So yeah, this sounds like a great initiative. We're gonna watch and see. We can have our next conversation and say, boy, Ivan, you know, say thing works so good that we might have to expand it sooner than planning, you know, and everything will work out so wonderful.
I hope so.
You know what I mean? So it's great to be able to talk and get this kind of feedback on the back and forth. And as you see, people are interested. People jump in the comments, you know, them customers, but them loving it because they know that they can't do without you. So the more you do,
I like how you put that.
the more you do, the more initiatives like this I introduce that will help to kind of make things easier, make things more transparent, and make things definitely much more convenient. You will start to see the tide kind of shift and so on. You will still get the relative them where I will just because
things that you know
that go already.
Yeah.
But
there's another way that they can contact us, and that's contactless clearance at jca.gov.jm. And so if they have any questions, they can send it to that. That's contactless clearance at jacustoms.gov.jm, or they could also email public.relations@jca.gov.jm or call us at 876-922-514028. And in terms of the website, every day we are working on some additional information that we can populate the website. We're finalizing some brochure and some frequently asked questions and some other information that we can put out there. And we're continuing almost a full media blitz. We are on the radio with advertisement. We're doing interviews all over the place. And we want to hear from you, right? We want to hear from you support. We want to hear from you if you have concerns. We're willing to talk those through and to listen to you, our customer, as we try to make things better for you and keep you as our primary focus.
All right, let me just drop that email address in the comments so people can check that out. All right, people. I don't think I need to add anything more. If anything, as Mr. Henry just said, if anything else you want to find out, you can always shoot them an email at jacustoms.gov. Actually, public.relations@jca.gov.jm. There's contactless clearance as well. Visit the website, jacustoms.gov.jm. One heap of ways in which you can link up with customs. Just Google. You know, Google is your friend. Jump in Google. Everything's going to be there. You can find out all about it. And this is a great initiative, people. I'd recommend you take advantage of it. This is the Christmas. This is the busy season. Any advantage you can get to make the process much more simple, much more efficient on your behalf, take it. Right? Not costing nothing more. Well, it shouldn't really. I hope not anyway. But you know what I mean? Take it. Take advantage of it. All right, people? Use this one. This is the customs working hard on your behalf. So you know what? Give them a pat on the back and try it out. And if it don't work, send them. This is what the pilot is for. If you're not satisfied, they want to hear the feedback. Yes. They want to be able to hear from you and understand what changes, what tweaks, what different things that they can make to make the service even more efficient on your behalf. All right, people? Take them up on it. You know what I mean? That said, I think it's time for us to wrap. Thank you to everyone who tuned into our discussion, especially those of you who sent in their questions and the comments. Really, really appreciate those as always. And if you have a question and we haven't answered it in our discussion, not to worry. We'll go through afterwards and we'll hopefully be able to give you the right information. All right. Remember, our audience plays a major part in our show. So if there's anyone in particular you'd like us to have in studio, let us know. We'll try to have that person in studio as soon as possible. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Jamaica Information Service to see who will be in studio next and to check out some of our older interviews as well. While you're at it, definitely check out JA Customs. You can search them in Google, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all social medias, everything. Find out what's going on with customs so you can be more aware of what's going on in the country. All right, people? We do this every week live on Facebook. I've been your host, Vaughn Davis, and this has been Studio 58A Live. Thank you again for joining us. Really appreciate that. And please have a wonderful rest of the day. Take care and have a good one. You too, Mr. Henry. All right. Take care.
Thank you, Vaughn. Respect.
Oh, wow.